There's no doubt about it. Interest rates have gone up. What has that done to the housing market? More importantly, the luxury housing market, and where does it go with 1031s? We'll talk about that and much more on this episode of The Crude Truth.
In 1901, at Spindletop Hill near Beaumont, the future of Texas changed dramatically as, like a fountain of fortune, thousands of barrels of oil burst from the earth towards the sky. Soon, Detroit would be cranking out Model Ts by the millions, and America was on the move, thanks to the black gold being produced in Texas. Now, more than a century later, the vehicles are different, but nothing else has truly changed. Sure, there may be many other alternative energy sources like wind and solar and electric. But let's be honest, America depends on oil and entrepreneurs, and if the USA is truly going to be independent, it has to know the crude truth.
NAPE is a proud sponsor of The Crude Truth. Be sure to register for the NAPE Expo 2024, February 7th through the 9th at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas. Hurry and register today. NAPE, where deals happen.
This episode is brought to you by LFS Chemistry, committed to being good stewards of the environment and providing the tools so you can be too. NAPE Expo, where deals happen. Air Compressor Solutions. When everything is on the line, Air Compressor Solutions is the dependable choice to keep commercial business powered up. Sandstone Group. Exec Crew. Elevate your network, elevate your knowledge. Oil and Gas Workers Association. Pecos Country Operating. Fueling our future.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and as always, thank you for tuning in for another episode of The Crude Truth. In my teaser, as we all know, interest rates have just continued to go up to battle what they've called recession. Well, I don't think it's doing anything good. Now, my real question is, what's it doing for real estate? And more importantly, what's it doing for high-end real estate right now and also to the 1031 market? Today, I bring on just an exciting guest, somebody that's got so much know and so much info, not only in the DFW area, but also throughout the state of Texas on real estate. My guest today is Alicia Chmielewski. Alicia, how are you?
I'm doing great, Ray. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited. And did I say your name right? I feel
you said it perfectly.
Oh, thank goodness. I was a little nervous on that. And for all my listeners out there and viewers that see her last name, it's not anything else. It's Chmielewski. The C and H are silent.
That's right. That's right.
But no, I cannot thank you enough for coming in. You are just rocking it out with luxury real estate right now. And, you know, when I called you up and said, hey, man, I'd love for you to come on to talk about what you're up to, because the interest rates have done nothing but continue to go up right now. And yet you are still just, you're kind of, you know, you're still just going up. And it's like, you know, you hear the good, you hear the bad. And so I wanted to hear it from the expert. And so thank you so much for coming on. And for everybody out there, can you just tell a little bit about yourself before we dive in today?
Absolutely. So I'm Alicia Chmielewski. I am known as the luxury home auction girl. I'm both a traditional real estate agent as well as a licensed auctioneer. And I work with a couple auction firms to auction real estate. So just kind of fun facts. I have different marketing backgrounds, but it's all for the same industry. But yeah, I've been here in North Texas since '98, and yeah, I couldn't imagine doing anything other than what I do. I love it.
Well, you know, you talk about you've been here since '98. In our pre-production meeting, you were kind enough to share with me how you and your family ended up here in the great state of Texas, but also a little bit about how you ended up in real estate. And for everybody out there, it's things that are in the oil and gas industry, and any entrepreneur needs to hear. And they need to believe in the words that you're going to say. Not to put you on the spot already, but I'd love for you to share your background and your story about how you got into luxury real estate.
Of course. So whenever I was 15, and my parents are either brave or crazy or a little bit of both, they decided that they were going to introduce us kids to the whole entire southeastern portion of the United States. So we started from Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is where I was born and raised. We drove to Oklahoma City, then down to San Antonio, then out to Fort Lauderdale and the Boca area of Florida, and then back up to Arkansas again. And now, mind you, I'm a 15-year-old and, you know, a teenage girl, and I have 2 younger siblings in the car. So pillow fights were commonplace. And the quickest way to get from point A to point B was just to sleep.
Yeah.
So I would just like try and ignore everything that's going on, sleep. And then I happened to wake up as we were driving over 35. And being from a small town, I see the skyline of Fort Worth. I'm like, that's the most beautiful city I have ever seen. I want to live there.
Yeah.
And then I went back to sleep. And that was it. That was it. We made it to San Antonio, yada, yada, yada. When we got to Florida, we spent, a week or two there. And then my dad had gotten a call from a recruiter about a job in Fort Worth. We moved here a few months later, and the rest is history. So I do believe in the power of manifestation. And yeah, I'm like, yes, you're welcome, family, for bringing us to Texas.
Wow. They haven't moved back, or they haven't looked back since, right?
No.
Yeah. Golly. And I just think that's awesome how you can manifest something. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. And so for everybody out there, that has an entrepreneur spirit, think about it and, write it down and, or just dream it and kind of wake up real quick, look at it on a vision board, as they would say.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so tell me about being an entrepreneur, because you've been an entrepreneur from a young age, and it kind of led you into real estate.
It did.
Well, obviously you're an entrepreneur and you're in real estate. So can you kind of highlight about that just a little bit?
Absolutely. So when I was 17, I was doing an economics class, and I had my first job at a pet store. And some of the things that the ownership was doing, like reselling used products as new, I'm like, this is just terrible. I would go home and tell my parents, I'm like, can you believe this is what happened today?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, my dad told me, he's just like, well, if you can do it better yourself, why don't you? And so I'm like, you don't tell someone with an underlying type A personality that, because then it's on. Yeah. Well, so I wrote the business plan and opened Fifth Day Aquatics, which was in the pet fish industry. I imported aquatic life, corals, fish from all over the world, sold them to my customers here in the Metroplex. And I did not come from a family with a business background. So everything was school of hard knocks for me. I would go to whatever conference or business seminar that was coming through town, just so I could try and educate myself and better Fifth Day Aquatics. And I'll never forget, it was so annoying. I would be there in a call, and someone would come up and they would start talking about real estate. I'm like, I'm not here for real estate. I'm here for the pet industry. I'm here for my business. If I hear real estate one more time, I'm going to scream. Yeah. And then I'm just like, of course, I always bring it up. So then I'm just like, you know what? This isn't going to get me where I want to be in life, but it was a great learning experience. Maybe I should consider something else. Maybe I should consider this whole real estate thing.
Oh, okay.
And sure enough, I landed in the one thing that I never wanted to hear another word about, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Well, you mentioned right there that's like, maybe this isn't going to get me where I want to be. And that's a hard fact for any entrepreneur to look at and come to realization. Mm-hmm. And for you to come to that realization at technically, such a young age.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. But yet you were already an entrepreneur on your own. That's awesome. There's not a lot of individuals out there. I think you call those the, dare I say, the Bill Gates and the, Mark Zuckerbergs.
Oh, don't put me with them.
Oh, okay.
Those guys are amazing. Like, I'm just little Alicia.
Well, now you're in the real estate and you're in the luxury side of things. And by luxury, we're talking multi-million-dollar homes, and you are selling these things. And that was the main reason why I wanted to invite you on, because, the interest rates have only continued to go up in the last year. And unfortunately, with this administration, I don't see them coming down anytime soon. And you are continuing to do nothing but sell. And so what are you seeing right now? What are some of the questions or statements that you're getting from people about real estate and about the interest rates that we have going on right now for these loans?
Well, they're definitely going up. There's no doubt about it. And I will say that I don't just work in luxury real estate. That's what people know me as. But, that's all the pretty stuff. So it gets the press. But I will say the people that are affected even more so are going to be your average Americans. Your middle class. Interest rates are Fed rates are not the same as your mortgage rate. But every time that is increased, your short-term interest rates go up,
Yes.
which means your credit cards, your car payments. So when you're dealing with debt-to-income ratios and getting approved for a mortgage, that's a huge impact. So that can make someone go from being able to afford something to absolutely not, or much less. And so that's something that we're seeing. The one thing that has been on our side here in Texas is that people want to be here. This is a great state. From a policy standpoint to a business standpoint, there's lots of companies that have relocated here and continue to do so. So our economic development has just not slowed down. So we're kind of in a little like protected shell here. So I'm going to speak to Texas versus the entirety of the United States because each market is very different. But I will say on the luxury side of things, I think that a lot of people are a little more cautious because especially if they're running companies or dealing with employees, they're having to really make their own budgets as well based on, okay, what are my costs going to be? Because I still need to profit. So they might not be as ready to shell out the funds that they would have otherwise. Right. Now, in the higher end, I tend to see people pay cash. So mortgage rates are not it's so important in that sense. Not that they're not, but it's a little less direct of an impact. But we're definitely seeing a slowing, and and a cautious, and there's a lot of caution going on right now.
Well, you're known as the luxury auction girl, and but when it comes to auctions, and here we're talking about these high-end homes, it's not your traditional type of a foreclosure auction or anything like that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So just like a fine art or fine vehicle auction, where you take a very unique, one-of-a-kind asset. These are all custom homes. They're not track homes. There's not one that sold right across the street 3 months ago that was the same model, same size that we can say, oh, that one was worth this, so this one's going to be worth the same. Yeah. We don't have that. So what we do is we bring the opportunity in front of everyone that's ready, willing, and able to buy at some price, and then get everyone bidding against each other, driving price until the highest number is reached. That's how you know you have made it to market value in an expeditious time frame.
Ooh, made it to market value in an expeditious time frame.
Yes.
I like that. And I'm just thinking here as an oil and gas guy that is literally kind of what we say. It's like, hey, every lease is different. You can't, even though they may be side by side, everything, it is truly custom because you got your own things that you got to deal with. And then with your custom homes, I mean, every single one of them is totally different. And in fact, you've got one on the market right now that we were able to get a video on that we wanted to show real quick. So
yes.
Everybody, let's take a look.
Now this one's a traditional one. It is not an auction, but it is a fabulous home. It's a real masterpiece. So I can't wait to show it.
Yes. No, let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Alicia Chmielewski with Keller Williams Realty. Welcome to this luxurious, one-of-a-kind traditional home located in Chapel Creek Estates at 6525 Shady Oaks Drive. Check it out.
Wow, that's a video if I've ever seen with them. And the house, how big is that house?
So that home is almost 8,000 square feet.
Okay. And you've got definitely people that are looking at those all the time. And that's just a traditional sale, right?
That's a traditional, yes.
Okay. So I can't even imagine then what your auction homes are looking like these days. They must
They're pretty fabulous too. I'm not gonna lie. I've been in a lot of fabulous homes.
Wow, holy cow. And that one I saw was in Frisco.
That's in Frisco.
Okay, and that's where you're based out of now, right?
I am based in Frisco. I actually live in office there, but
Okay.
I'm all over the place. You'll find me all over North Texas and even in other states.
Okay.
So-
Wow. So tell me, when you're doing these auctions, what are some of the most, what's one of the most unique things that you've auctioned or properties,
Oh, that is such a tough question because so many are so just unbelievably unique
Okay.
between who the sellers might be, the story behind the house. I sold Tom Clancy's penthouse at the Ritz in Baltimore. And that was pretty phenomenal, especially being in his library or his office,
Yeah.
where it's just like, oh my gosh, what an incredible author. And I'm like, I'm here. It was just very inspiring. That was fun.
Wow.
Probably my favorite house was one in Annapolis, and it had frontage to the Chesapeake Bay, and it was just absolutely stunning, but it had the coolest history. We don't have as far back history here in Texas, so I really like the historic stories.
Yeah.
This one in particular, Amelia Earhart had actually visited, and they had a picture of her there on a horse. They were raising horses at the time, and her story is that she flew her plane in, and they went to pick her up, took her to the house, had lunch, took her back to the plane, and the cows were biting into the plane. So she didn't fly home that day.
Oh my God.
But I think that will have to always be one of my favorite stories.
Wow. That's so okay. You mentioned Baltimore, so you're able to. So not only and you did say, hey, I can do other states. So that's Maryland.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
Maryland.
Holy cow! Well, how far have you traveled to do something like that?
I mean, probably, I would say Maryland is probably. Well, Maryland, New York,
Okay.
up that way.
Up that way.
Yeah.
Wow. So have you done stuff like now I'm thinking if you've done Tom Clancy's penthouse in Baltimore, I'm like, have you done stuff there in by Manhattan and things like that as well?
Not in Manhattan.
Okay.
I actually was marketing a property up in Chappaqua. So
Oh.
that was phenomenal in the spring.
Oh my gosh. I think it's cool that you're able to go there, but for a lot of my listeners out there, I bet that they probably just heard Chappaqua and started going through a button of a ton of different questions, but we'll leave that one alone to the conspiracy theorists out there. Well, tell me, whenever you got people, are you able to right now with your market finding other properties that once your people are selling, are you able to move them? How's that market going to where it's just moving from one to another? How's that going?
So it's going, especially when it comes to investment. I think that is the key to movement. When it comes to luxury real estate, most people I'm going to say most people, this is a generality, it might not be everyone, that have these fantastic multi-million-dollar homes have multiple properties across the United States, sometimes around the world. So they're not as inclined to just be like, I'm going to sell this one and then move over here. So it might not be a direct, they might just stay at their lake house or, there's a little intermediary sometimes.
Right.
What I am seeing are the investment properties. The investment properties are not stopping. People are always trying to park their funds and stay as tax deferred as they possibly can
Right.
in order to just make smart moves with their money.
Right. And that's where the 1031 exchange
Yes.
come in. That it's just, for a like kind property from
Yes.
one to one.
Yes.
And you're seeing a lot of that as well right now.
That never ends. That doesn't stop. It doesn't matter on the market condition as much. When someone receives an offer, for instance, or there's an interest in their property, okay, great. Let's capitalize on that equity and what can we roll it into
Right.
to keep that money growing.
Yeah, because when you roll it in, that means you're not paying the taxes on it.
Right.
And that is important.
It's deferred.
Deferred. That's right. It is
Yeah.
deferred. So it's when the guy goes from and I'll just use, since we're talking luxury, from a $2 million property, and he then sells it for $3 million, and then he rolls it into a $4 million. It's like, hey, I didn't want to pay the taxes, and I can afford that extra $1 million in there.
Right.
So, it's a genius thing to do.
It really is.
And it really helps out. And there's, and it does defer, but hey, if you do it right, you can defer for a very long time.
Yes.
And of course, then your asset books looks real good as well.
Oh yeah, that's how you increase your net worth. 100%.
Well, tell me when you are when you find a new client, what are some of the questions that you ask them? Like if I said, hey, if I showed up, and what are some of the questions that you like to ask and you like to know about a client that you're going to be picking up to work with?
From a sales standpoint or a purchase?
From a sales standpoint.
From a sales standpoint, I want to know about the details of the property. What makes it special? What made you fall in love with it in the first place? I mentioned about the history and the stories.
Yeah.
To me, all houses are four walls and a roof until you actually get the story of, the construction, the things that went into it, what makes it special. That's what I really gravitate towards. And that's what buyers also really latch onto. They're just like, what a great story. And that just, it pulls on the heartstrings, but it's just mine as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know the story is always important, especially here in Texas. In anything that you do, we don't dive into anything right away. It's like, hey, how are you? Let's chit chat.
Calculated,
yes.
Of course.
And I mean, you get somebody that says, oh man, this was Tom Clancy's house. What a story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just going to make the value of it, dare I say, even go up that much more. So getting back to what you're talking about, that every single one of these unique properties is different. I mean, that alone definitely adds to it. Tell me, with what you guys are doing there, what are some of the things that y'all are expecting? Kind of get your crystal ball here, your 8-ball. Where are you seeing the market headed as a whole? Like here over the next 18 months.
That's a tough one. That's a real tough one. We've definitely been seeing a bit of a pause. Now, what market is it? It's more of a stable market than it was these last couple years. I don't think that it's a negative in any way. It's just very stable. So stable is generally considered 4 to 6 months of inventory in the residential sector of things. Depending on price point, we are either close to that or over that, but on average, we're right around there. So you might, I would say in under $1 million, you're probably at about 2.3 months of availability. Over 2 million, then you're looking at 8+.
Okay.
So with that being said, it's pretty stable. Now, of course, the Fed's meeting now.
Yes.
So do we expect that they're probably going to do another bump? I've heard yes and no, so I'm not really sure. At this point.
Well, I kind of put you on the spot with that question, but I wanted to know, and then you say it's stable, and obviously here in Texas, we were kind of just going up this rocket.
Yes.
So for stable for us is A-okay technically,
yes.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's a healthier market. There's more opportunity for everyone, and it's not as snap decisions. So from a buyer standpoint, someone can actually think about what they're doing before they do it. So they can be a little more astute with their decisions and their purchase. And sellers, they now know that they have to actually present a nice home or a nice property, or else the market will reflect that in value.
Man, with you saying that, I can only see that because I remember hearing, brief, and I'll call them horror stories, where people were like literally selling their property so quickly. So we're not seeing that, but it's bringing in, it sounds like a little bit of I don't want to use the word honesty, but like you just said, it's making the sellers kind of like church things up a little bit more,
yes.
so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. It's much healthier in that sense right now.
Okay, good. Well, that's a good thing.
It is.
And well, Alicia, again, I cannot thank you for coming on today. I just think what you've been able to do is amazing, and it's only going to continue to grow. For everybody out there that's definitely looking either to purchase or needs to sell their home, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, you can get a hold of me on my LinkedIn, Alicia Chmielewski.
Yeah.
I'm sure my name will be here somewhere, so just follow that. I'm on all the social sites as well, the Instagram, the Facebook. You can find me online at luxuryhomeauctiongirl.com. info@agentalicia.com is my general email as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. I mean, call, text, send smoke signals. I'll respond to you.
Hey. Well, Alicia, again, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and just sharing with us about what's going on in the real estate and the high-end luxury real estate market right now, because as Texas goes, because you were talking about, hey, I just know what Texas is doing there. You focus on that. But I believe as Texas goes, the rest of America is going to go. So I think as long as we have a strong real estate market here, I think we're going to be okay for the rest of the United States, if that makes any sense. I mean, when you look at the map of Texas, I mean, we pretty near have the shoulders for the rest of the United States to sit on.
Oh, that's the truth. That is the truth.
So I cannot thank you enough very, very much for coming on.
It's such a pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you. And for everybody out there, please be sure if you listen to this episode to go back and watch this one. Check out that property there in Frisco. And also, please, just reach out to her if you got any questions about that high-end real estate. And we'll see you again next time on another episode of The Crude Truth.
Again, thank you to our sponsors, LFS Chemistry, Nape Expo, Air Compressor Solutions, Exec Crew, Oil and Gas Workers Association, Pecos Country Operating.
The easiest way to start your own podcast and TV show? Real News Communications Network. Stand out from your competition. Produce streams of high-quality social media content. Become a thought leader in your industry. With RNCN, you get to be the host. We handle everything else. Tour one of our 3 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Colony. Call 972-402-6333 or visit launchashow.com to find out more.